The following program is brought to you by the makers of mistakes.
1, 2.
Well, our rating may not put us in the top 10, but we have received another award. The Restaurant Owners Association of America has voted us the show that has done most to get people out of the house one night a week. Thank you, gentlemen. And now for our first fractured flicker. Restaurant owners, to your battle station.
From the shores of beautiful Muncie Creek in Muncie, Indiana, it's Saturday night at the Channel Swim, brought to you by
Wrap cigarette lighters. This Christmas, give your girl a wrap. Tom and Jerry Building Contractors. Let us build you a high one. And Goodwin Airlines. Any landing you can walk away from is a good one.
While we are waiting for the race to start, let's look at some training films. Say, those rubber beach toy horses certainly look real this year. Here's some swimmers practicing the Australian crawl. Can you imagine crawling all the way from Australia like that? A good night's sleep is important, and these superb athletes sleep like babies without the thought of water once crossing their mind. I see the crowd is growing restless, and we should be starting the big swim any minute now. Incidentally, the race will be covered from the air by noted aerial photographer Ricky Edenbacher. And there goes the starting gun. Uh-oh, there goes Ricky Edenbacher. And there go the swimmers diving into Muncie Creek. For this shot, we can thank Ricky Edenbacher, who is now at the bottom of Muncie Creek. Ladies and gentlemen, this is incredible. Look at that girl go. What a stroke. This girl is way out in front. She's passing everybody. Everybody but her brother, who is towing her. By the way, one of the hazards of this swim is that Muncie Creek is infested with man-eating mudsuckers. The stroke this man is using is called the getting away from the Muncie mudsucker scissor kick. But I see that the swimmers have stopped for a rest, so now a word from our sponsor.
Mr. Motorist, does your car need a new paint job? If it does, take it to one of Earl Finger's paint shops. Your car will be placed in a concrete car box. Then one of our factory-trained sprayers will finger paint your car. A vast choice of colors include white, off-white, ivory, and eggshell. After it comes out of the bake oven, our expert mechanics will repair your grill work. The first 500 cars taking advantage of this fantastic offer will receive a Wrap cigarette lighter. So remember, ring-a-ding-a-dinger, take your car to Finger, that's the place to stop. Ring-a-ding-a-dinger, take your car to Finger, your car will blow its top.
Here we are back at the Channel Swim, and that fellow with the mudsucker problem is still in the lead. Muncie mudsuckers do give you the incentive to stay out in front. He could be the winner. No, here is the winner. The fellow with the alligator shoes wins. Next year, Saturday night at the Channel Swim will be brought to you by
Monkey Cameras. And the Bullet Manufacturing Company, makers of the world's fastest donuts.
Recently, Fractured Flickers was taken to task in a trade publication for making jokes at the expense of persons who were long gone and thus couldn't defend themselves. Well, of course, there's no blinking the fact that we're not likely to get a subpoena from the great beyond. At least not until it's time to go. But the fact of the matter is that we just love to fracture modern motion pictures. It's just that they're so expensive to buy, and somehow nobody seems willing to give them to us. So we're in the position of the gypsy who was accused of cheating his friends. I have to cheat my friends, he said. My enemies don't trust me.
Say, friends, isn't it high time you gave some thought to your social position? Isn't it high time you went up in the world? Don't you envy the life of the socially prominent? Now this glamorous life can be yours. Yes, due to some unexpected adjustments in our membership rolls, the fabulous Bunkwood Country Club has a few limited memberships open to the general public. So if you're tired of hanging around the same old places, Bunkwood is the club for you. Just a short 8-day trip along high-speed freeway. Bunkwood is conveniently located atop a small rise, Mount Whitney, overlooking the scenic Catskill Mountains. Suddenly there you are at the Bunkwood Country Club, hobnobbing with the elite. And what a place it is. Dignified old buildings, rich in tradition. Wait till you see what membership brings you. There's fun in the sun. Outdoor sports supervised by our entertainment director. Outstanding social events. And, of course, our celebrated cookouts, where new members are often chosen as guests of honor. And don't overlook our unique facilities. There's the Bunkwood Bathing Beach, just a stone's throw from the clubhouse. Nothing here to dampen your spirits. There's the up-to-date Bunkwood Marina for weekend boating fun. And so much more. Our gym, just the place for a good workout. Our finished sauna bath. Our friendly barber shop. Never any waiting with a competent staff to serve you. Our own beauty salon, where facelifting is a specialty. We even have our own private ballroom. But the best is yet to come. Nothing in the world compares to the Bunkwood dining room. Here we serve the finest of food and drink. Symbolizing Bunkwood's dignity and reserve is Alphonse, our maitre d', who eagerly awaits the arrival of each gourmet. His enthusiastic greeting is a fitting prelude to our meal. Alphonse delights in adding his personal touch to the seating arrangement. Meanwhile, in our spotless kitchens, serene, efficient chefs are busy preparing your meal the Bunkwood way. These centuries-old European techniques assure uniformity of flavor and excellence. So if you're a man of the world who likes to travel in high social circles, if you're a girl with a lot of bounce, don't be a drag. Come on out to Bunkwood. Bring the family. We guarantee a bang-up good time. And Bunkwood costs so little. So come on, all you social climbers, get to the top the Bunkwood way. Bunkwood can give your social position that needed lift.
Ladies and gentlemen, at this point in our program, it is our custom to engage in some light banter with a Fractured Flickers guest. Tonight, however, we are pleased to have with us a delightful actress and comedian and a valued colleague on another program which shall remain nameless, Miss Ruta Lee.
Let's hear it out there for Ruta Lee.
Quite so. And welcome to Fractured Flickers, Ruta.
When does the light banter start?
Well, it doesn't. Tonight we're going to do something different.
Something different. You mean Lincoln is going to fracture you for a change?
Well, not as different as all that. Ruta, I wonder if you'd be good enough to give us a helping hand in answering these stacks of mail that have piled up. Huh?
Oh, I'd be glad to help, Hans. I hope I'm equal to the task.
Equal to it? You've got it outnumbered. But before I begin, I'd like to tell our viewers that if your question is read on the air, you will receive a beautiful miniature transistorized cuckoo clock from the famous miniature Black Forest in Japan. I take the first one.
Be my host.
From Naomi T. Do you ever find it necessary to have a double? Yes, I do, Naomi T. I have one after every program of Fractured Flickers. Fractured Flickers. And hold the olive this time, will you?
Lenny from Toledo writes to ask, would you tell us your most embarrassing moment in show business? Well, no, I wouldn't, Lenny. And how would you like to go fly a kite? Now, how about you, Hans? What's your most humiliating experience?
You're watching it, Ruta. It happens every week at the same time. Now, Yes. J.G. of Lompoc wants to know if I ever played Lincoln. If I ever played him what?
I played Lincoln once.
Oh, you did?
Mm-hmm. Just about a week after I played Omaha. B.G. of Muncie, Indiana wants to know what you call the man who helps the assistant to the camera operator. Gee, I'm afraid I don't know all that technical stuff. Hans, what do you call him?
Charlie. I think we have time for just one more question. Why don't you do the honors now, Ruta? That one, huh?
H.C. of Hollywood, California wants to know when you're going to sing on the show.
Well, of course, I didn't bring my music, but if you'd like an a cappella version of Old Man River. Me. Old Man River.
H.C. Those are your initials, Hans.
Well, that's not surprising. Hollywood is full of HCs.
All living at 23 Residual Drive.
It's surprising, isn't it?
Hans, if you were going to send a request to hear yourself sing, why didn't you at least put a fake address on the letter?
Well, then they wouldn't know where to send the transistorized cuckoo clown. By the way, Rudy, you know you're going to get one for helping out this evening.
Oh, please, Hans, I'd rather not.
They're terribly cheap.
No. If I don't accept any payment for appearing on Fractured Flickers, then I can take it off my income tax as a deduction.
A deduction on what ground?
Making a contribution to a disaster area.
Good night, Miss Ruta Lee. And as for the rest of you, keep those care packages coming.
The Fractured Flickers Council on Healthy announces this is National Healthy Week, and here are a few tips. Your severe headaches may result from severe nervous tension, working under pressure, or lack of sleep. A good tip is not to let people get on your back. Calisthenics is good because you can do them at work or at home. But this is mostly for girls. To avoid the common cold, dress warmly, especially for outdoor sports. If a cold strikes, grapefruit juice is very good, especially hot grapefruit juice. Ow! Promiscuous kissing is unsanitary. Try to control your temper at all times. Turn the other cheek as it were. Remember, you can settle any problem by laughing it off and talking it over.
Friends, have you ever thought you'd like to try your hand at fracturing a flicker? Well, here is all you have to do. You buy the rights to a silent film classic, edit it down to 6 minutes, write and add funny dialogue, and send it to us before midnight Sunday. Remember, if your flicker is used on our program without your permission, I won't be a bit surprised. This is a story of gallant men who went to their country's aid, and the tale of a sterling patriot, the charge of the Light Brigade. Goodbye to you, me darling wife. Goodbye, my lover, too. My country calls, so I must go and leave the both of you. So on a bleak December morn, the battle lines were drawn. Fear lined the soldiers' faces. Frivolity was gone. A cavalry charge was needed, for the war was at the brink, and the man they picked to lead it was Lieutenant Irving Fink. This was the day for Irving Fink to cover himself with glory, for if it weren't for Irving, it would have been a different story. Thus brandishing his saber high, he went to meet his fate, and into the valley Irving rode with the 398. The battle raged, men fell like flies, the heavy cannon thundered, and except for 2 rats still playing house, it would have been 400. Now the pounding hooves of the Light Brigade come charging down the plain, when suddenly a shell fells Irv. He's down! He's up again! And now the young Lieutenant Irving Fink, that man of steel, calls to his men and spurs them on, and they heed his last appeal. But wait, what's this? What quirk of fate has, quickly as a wink, turned the brigade on their very own? They're clobbering Irving Fink. How strange is war, that the Light Brigade should mutinous become, and send young Irving Fink to death.
Play on, ye muffled drum, yet hail to you, Lieutenant Fink. You leave the world enlarged, and what a shame that the Light Brigade thought you had overcharged. Help!
Several of you have seen fit to comment on the fact that though your host here on Fractured Flickers might be considered a permanent fixture on the Hollywood scene, the name of Hans Conried is never seen involved in any of Hollywood's scandals. The week-long parties, the wild orgies, the poolside revels with scantily clad starlets. Well, ladies and gentlemen, an actor who knows and loves his craft gets his satisfaction from more simple and profound pleasures. And besides, nobody ever asks me.
This week, Fractured Flickers is proud to salute the average American worker. From the lowliest delivery boy or messenger
The British are coming!
to the very highly skilled master plumber. We salute the American labor force. Let's take a look at what he is like, this average American worker. In millions of homes every morning, scenes like this take place as he awakes to his alarm clock and begins his day. The city begins to stir. The cop on the beat whistles a merry song, and another day is underway. But what is this average American worker really like? Well, he loves to hunt. He goes dancing whenever the mood strikes him. He is inventive, fastidious in his dress, and takes particular pride in his appearance. He is serious-minded. When there's a job to do, he rolls up his sleeves and goes to it. He's a firm believer in physical fitness, and barely a day goes by when he doesn't run to work. If our average American worker just happens to be a bartender, he understands his obligation to be honest with his customers. His friend, confidant, trusted and loved by one and all. He is the master of each situation and handles each problem with the dignity and aplomb that have made him such an important part of the American scene. Today, a new breed of American worker has come upon the scene, the Madison Avenue advertising genius. In utilizing the most modern methods of mass communication, he is able to draw on an enormous background of ideas. Perhaps one of the most unglamorous and most monotonous of all occupations is that of the shoe clerk. Yet, even in the dullest of jobs, the dedicated worker can always find some excitement. It is an old American tradition that the corner drugstore is a rendezvous for lovers. And the soda jerk has played Cupid more than once. And when the day is done and the boss says a cheery goodnight, Mr. Average American Worker hurries home to the real reason for his urge to succeed, his average American wife. Fractured Flicker salutes you, Mr. and Mrs. Average American Worker. And God bless you.
We wish to thank the sponsors of this program for relinquishing a few minutes of their time so that we may bring you a little of our show between the commercials.
And now, a message from BP&E.
Tense, irritable, feeling on edge. Your trouble may just be mental. If these symptoms sound familiar to you, isn't it time you dropped in on your neighborhood psychiatrist? Do it today. Let our staff examine you. These men, experts in their field, will use the finest of modern equipment to make a record of your brain waves. Later, you can take it home and play it for your friends. Then, if it turns out that you're the sort who likes living in trunks and stuff like that, you may be one of the lucky few with a genuine neurosis. If you are, you're eligible for the famous BP&E group therapy plan, where people get together and lend each other a helping hand. Remember, we guarantee quick results or double your neurosis back. So You've got a few screws loose in the old noggin. Why not give us a crack at it, huh? Remember now, for the finest in shock therapy, look for this seal on the door.
That's Brotherhood of Psychiatrists and Electricians, Local 704. Remember our motto. At 704, it's kill or cure.
What are you, some kind of nut?
Hans Conried again. If you're over 25 and would like to join a Fractured Flickers fan club, aren't you ashamed of yourself? Before our next flicker, I'd like to duck in this late score from today's game. Susquehanna, 876. State College, 920. I wonder what they will play.
Ladies and gentlemen, we issue this challenge. Who is this man? This great American was truly a giant among men, and yet humble in his greatness. He was born in beautiful Butte, Montana, and reared in this exclusive residential section. As a baby, he was different than the others, but this endeared him to his father, whom he resembled closely. To stay in shape, his father told him to skip the rope. So he did, and turned to tap dancing. He became known as Buster Brown, and then Sally Jane, whereupon it was decided to send him to military school. But this particular academy was in Korea, not liking military life, and with the call of the theater coursing through his veins, he returned to the footlights where he and the immortal Skippy Tumaloo danced their way to stardom. It was only a matter of time before our man of mystery's true talents shone through. As you can plainly see, on this rare film of the act, Skippy, seen here on the left, could not match the intricate footwork of his beloved partner. So Skippy skipped and Hollywood beckoned to our man. He went before the cameras, portraying the husband of Annie Oakley in Son of a Gun. He was to shoot at a target hanging outside the studio commissary. He fired and hit the mark, which was the name of the commissary chef. Severely demoted, he was then given the job of finding a trademark for the studio. He was as fond of this job as he was of military life. Growing a mustache and renting a villa in Spain, he gave guitar lessons to the needy, teaching music by ear. Today, he tests false teeth for dentists. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the big question, who is this man? I don't know, but I'm glad it isn't me. How's that grab you?
Hey,
Fly Hysteria, the airline that gives a darn about you. Hysteria, the first airline to bring you the famous sausage stabilizer. For far greater comfort in the air. 30% more power for faster takeoff. Hysteria gives you two plans, the deluxe red carpet or our famous super economy class. Experienced pilots. At Hysteria's stewardess school, we turn out highly trained girls in grueling competition. Here's a graduate preparing for flight. Lovely, isn't she? Here's our famous radar at work. We pick up passengers anywhere. And, of course, drop them off the same way. Hysteria, the airline that gives a darn about you.
This is your host, Hans Conried, inviting you to be with us again next week. Only next time, bring your own bottle.
1, 2.
This is Hans Conried bidding you a fond farewell from Fractured Flickers and reminding you to tune in again next week when our special guest will be a complete surprise to all of us.